Welcome to Television Sydney News from Sydney's Royal Easter Show. I'm Pollard. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, teachers and parents rally to support education funding, would-be ATM thieves end up empty-handed in Doonside, and the Sydney Royal Easter Show starts with a bang at Homebush. But first, Premier Barry O'Farrell has officially announced the start of work on the $139 million Campbelltown Hospital project. A sod-turning ceremony attended by the Premier, Health Minister Gillian Skinner and Campbelltown, Camden and Wollondelly MPs Brian Doyle, Chris Patterson and Jai Rao took place this week.
This was originally a $40 million election commitment. It turned into a $139 million upgrade, and today the work gets underway to deliver even better health care in the Macarthur district.
The new building will accommodate 90 new inpatient beds, 11 emergency treatment spaces, an enlarged emergency department and 2 cardiac laboratories. Campbelltown MP Brian Doyle says the facility needs to expand to accommodate the southwest's growing population.
Campbelltown's a place which is destined for future growth, and as we grow, the Campbelltown Hospital will also grow to meet that.
A group of 6 anonymous surfers rescued 15 footballers swept away in a rip at Green Hills Beach at Cronulla on Saturday. A witness said the team of country footballers entered the water in swells of about 1.8 metres. All Cronulla beaches were closed at the time. Within 10 minutes, the footballers, none of whom were strong swimmers, were carried out by the rip. The man said 4 surfers in the water and 2 on the beach noticed the players in trouble and went to their aid, and he was in no doubt the swift action saved the lives of at least 6 footballers. One surfer brought 3 players to shore before going back out to save a 4th. Another surfer, known only as Blake, dragged in a man twice his size. Wanda Surf Lifesaving Club volunteers arrived sometime later to help. One man was treated by council lifeguards before paramedics arrived. 2 barefoot thieves who tried to blow up 2 Doonside ATMs have ended up injured and empty-handed. Police say the 2 were injured after they used a mixture of substances that caused an explosion on the corner of Hill End Road and Graham Street in the early hours of February 25. Blacktown Detective Inspector Adam Wilson says police are still looking for the men and have released CCTV footage in a bid to identify them.
I'd just like to issue a general warning in relation to ATM gas attacks. Any attempt to either access an ATM by way of oxyacetylene or an explosive device is very, very dangerous and could cause very serious injury or even death.
The first man is described as having a fair complexion and dark hair and was wearing a fluoro yellow jumper and black pants. The second man also has a fair complexion and was wearing a black hooded jumper with white writing on the front with knee-length shorts. The footage shows the men arriving in a red Holden or Ford Ute and driving away towards Knox Road. More than 100 people have rallied in Sydney's West to show support for the Gonski Review's education funding recommendations. Teachers, parents and pupils from Caddies Creek Public School met in Glenwood last week to show support for the review, which found Australian public schools were chronically under-resourced. It recommended the federal government allocate an extra $6.5 billion to the education budget each year to fix the problem, which is roughly equal to $1,500 per child.
For too long, our schools, particularly our public schools, have been starved of funds. This is not a one-off grant. This is not a one-year funding program. This is for the future. And we've been waiting not just 10 or 15 years, this is 30 to 40 years since the last time our system got a decent funding hit.
Both the state and federal governments need to commit to the Gonski model at the Council of Australian Governments meeting in April for it to become reality. Greenway MP Michelle Rowland says she's hopeful the state governments will sign an agreement and funds will be made available by the end of the year. The I Give a Gonski campaign now has more than 60,000 registered supporters. An increase in gun crime in Fairfield and surrounding areas will be discussed at a community forum next week. Representatives from government and community groups have been invited to find a solution to the worsening problem of murders and drive-by shootings at Wednesday's event. The forum follows a recent meeting by federal and local government representatives to look at ways they can work together to fight crime in the area. McMahon MP Chris Bowen will host the forum, and one of the speakers is Home Affairs and Justice Minister Jason Clare. The accolades continue to roll in for former Roos resident Siobhan Reddy. She's been named Australian Woman of the Year in the UK only weeks after making the list of the BBC's top 100 most powerful women in Britain. Miss Reddy left Roost at 18 to follow her dreams and is co-founder of Media Moleculum, the company behind the award-winning Little Big Planet video games. Parents Yvonne and Chris say they're proud of their daughter, but not surprised by her success. 5 tap dancers in sharp suits took to the Riverside Theatre stage to perform as part of Seniors Week on Wednesday. The Tap Pack gave audiences a glimpse of their swinging, high-energy tap dancing comedy, which will open at the Parramatta Theatre on Friday. Writer and choreographer Jesse Rasmussen says the show is inspired by the original Rat Pack, which formed around Humphrey Bogart. In the 1960s, it was used to refer to a later variation of the group, which included Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr.
We're all very interested in the Rat Pack and the style of comedy and dancing back in the 1940s and 50s. So that's the style that we love to do, and we've created a show that's within that era and in that style.
The show features 5 of Australia's own triple threats who share international credits in more than 20 live musical theatre productions, motion picture blockbusters and television series. The show also includes a swinging 6-piece band.
Is in that era. All the songs and all the jokes and the style of the show is basically paying homage to the Rat Pack.
Liverpool's in a sticky situation. The council's grappling with the problem of used chewing gum. Deputy Mayor Mazhar Hadid has called on businesses and the community to stop throwing gum, cigarette butts and other rubbish on the streets. He says the key regional city in Sydney's southwest should be attractive and welcoming place. A special vehicle operates in the CBD 38 hours a week, removing chewing gum at a rate of up to 700 pieces an hour. And in sport, the Parramatta Eels fans are excited about their team's prospects for the season despite the loss to the Canterbury Bulldogs last week. Eels coach Ricky Stewart says he's very, very proud despite the 2016 loss because everything he asked for as a coach over the last 14 weeks came together on the night. The Eels take on the Tigers on Friday night, and when you play the West Tigers at Leichhardt Oval, there are 3 certainties. Number 1, there'll be a big crowd. 2, the home team will play one of their best games of the year. And 3, Tigers number 9, Robbie Farah, will be one of the best players on the field. And while the Tigers know that, so does Eels number 9, Matt Keating. Keating will go head-to-head with the incumbent New South Wales hooker in what could be the decisive matchup of the game. Farah and Benji Marshall will provide the focal point of the Tigers' attack and kicking game, while for the Eels, Keating is primarily responsible for plugging up the middle and providing good service to attacking guns Chris Sandow and Jared Hayne. Rowers from across Australia and around the world enjoyed great water conditions and even better weather this week at the Sydney International Rowing Regatta, which kicked off in Penrith on Monday. Event director Mac Draper said the regatta had been a success so far, attracting many competitors and spectators for the Australian Open Championships and Open Schools Championships.
I think it's been really well accepted by the athletes. Certainly the overseas teams are giving us great feedback, so we're really happy so far.
Rowers and fans are looking forward to the highly anticipated Kings and Queens Cups, Interstate Regatta on Saturday and the World Cup Finals on Sunday.
We have some great ticket sales. We're expecting a big crowd Saturday and Sunday for the Interstate Regatta and the World Cup competition on Sunday.
Although it's a sport usually associated with Europe or Canada, Vivi and Mary Lee are keen to change popular public perceptions of curling. The Oakville mother-daughter team, along with Annette Bennett and Leonie Donaldson, became New South Wales curling champions in December. It's a feat the 4 women are all very proud of and are now keen to promote in the hope of attracting new members to their niche sport.
To be a good curler, you have to have a good balance, very good sense of humour, and also you have to be able to communicate, because there's a lot of communication happening between captain, who is another end of the sheet, and player, who is another end of the sheet.
As New South Wales Women's and Sydney Curling Classic champions, Vivi and her team are now preparing for the Australian Ladies Championships in June. The 4 women will travel to New Zealand with Mary, the youngest member of the team, hoping to gain selection in Australia's junior national team.
It's a good sport to be able to play overseas, because curling is so small in Australia. It's quite easy to get to national games, like now we are going this year at least twice to play in New Zealand.
And finally, the 2013 Royal Easter Show has started with a bang at Sydney Showground. The show started on Thursday, and in addition to the traditional show bags, rides and animals, showgoers can expect a host of interesting new additions. The racing and diving pigs have made a comeback this year, and internationally renowned choreographer Di Henry has put together a dazzling evening show entitled Darcy's Quest, complete with pyrotechnics and monster trucks. The very first Easter show was held in 1823 at Parramatta Park, and Chief Operating Officer Michael Collins says this year's event will celebrate the history, traditions and characters of the last 190 years. The show will run every day until Wednesday, April 3. And we'll have more on the show in next week's bulletin. And that's all for this week's bulletin. For more information on any of these stories, pick up your local Fairfax community newspaper. I'm KRYSTYNA Pollard from Sydney's Royal Easter Show. We'll see you next time.